Another very common type of bankruptcy that we see here in our office is the Chapter 13 bankruptcy. In fact, Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 are the two main chapters of bankruptcy that apply to consumers. Chapter 7 is a liquidation bankruptcy, which is simple. A Chapter 13 bankruptcy is more complex. It applies to a lot of people. A Chapter 13 bankruptcy comes into play if you need to file bankruptcy because you feel overwhelmed with debt. You may be very far behind in your mortgage. You may be behind in your taxes. And in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, unlike a Chapter 7 bankruptcy where you, in theory at least, give up some assets, you don't give up any assets in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Rather, you make a plan. That's a plan with a capital P. And in that plan, you pay off a certain percentage of the debt that you're behind on. And it's a little complex. Like certain debts, you might pay off at 1%. You owe $100,000 in credit cards. You pay off $1,000 over 5 years. So you see, it's just a few dollars a month. That's an example. It could be anything from 1% to 100%, depending on the plan. Chapter 13 bankruptcy there's more art involved for the lawyer to create this plan for you. If you're behind on your mortgage, let's say you haven't paid your mortgage in a few years, Chapter 13 bankruptcy allows you to take that arrearage. Let's say you owe $36,000 in bankruptcy or in mortgage arrearages that you haven't paid. You can pay that off over a 5-year period. So you would divide the $36,000 by 60 and pay that off, that amount every month for 5 years, and that's how you would catch up on your mortgage. And when you do that, the mortgage company, in fact, none of your creditors have any right to take any collection activity against you. That's the great protection that bankruptcy gives you. It puts an iron dome over you and protects you against creditors taking action against you. And a Chapter 13 is a reorganization, so it allows you to catch up on debts that you've fallen behind on, such as car payments, mortgage payments, taxes. And it also allows you to discharge your other debts like credit card debts or medical bills or any other type of unsecured debt, meaning there's no collateral involved. That gets discharged in a 13 just like it does in a 7. So Chapter 13 is a very common type of bankruptcy. It allows, there's a lot more flexibility there to accomplish a lot of different goals that you might have. For instance, in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, we can sometimes take a second mortgage and completely strip it off a house. You can't do it in every case, but in some cases you can. That's Chapter 13, and every person will have a slightly different plan from another person in Chapter 13.